Today is Thursday, November the 11th, 2010. The time on my watch is 9:43 in the morning. We are presently videotaping at 5 District in the town of Markham, in the regional municipality of York. Is there anything, we're back to this question again about, is there anything else I need to know in order to better understand your statement? And that is, do you suffer from any mental illness? Have you been drinking? Did you take any drugs?
No drugs, no drinking.
So there's nothing that's going to influence your statement?
I'm just a little nervous.
Don't be nervous, okay? I know that's tough to say, but don't be nervous. The truth is always the best way to relieve anxiety, okay? We are investigating an allegation of murder of your mom, Bichha Pan. What we're going to do now is, as I said, what education level do you have?
Just a high school.
High school? Have you gone to any other like after school, a higher level of education? Have you been working towards anything?
I'm going back to school, and I have been working on a piano education.
Okay. There's no other education that you've sought, like you haven't gone to university at this point in time? Okay. So, I want you to forget or put aside the first statement that we had talked about. Okay? This is going to be where I'm going to ask you to start from the day, okay, on the 8th, leading up until when the police become involved in an incident that takes place in your house. I want you to tell me about your day, what you do, your interaction with your parents, okay? So what we are dealing with the incident. We're not dealing with your history right now. We're dealing with the incident again to see if anything else comes. Forgetting what you've already told me, and bring yourself through that day and through the event. And we'll see if we're going to see if we've learned or if you've remembered anything else. And there's some questions with respect to that statement that I'm going to ask you about. Okay, but I'm going to let you start again, and let's move forward from any time in that day where you want to start. If it's the time you woke up or if it's the time that your first interaction, it's your choice.
Okay, I'm very nervous, and I.
Why are you nervous? Tell me about why you're nervous.
Because I don't want to say the wrong things.
Because
that day was a lot.
You're right.
And I've been scattered, and so bits and pieces are here, and some pieces aren't here, and I'm just...
So... Notice how he frames this. He says, maybe something will jog your memory. This clears the way for her to reveal more or come out with the truth, and provides her an excuse so she can save face. She's had a bit of time to let what has happened settle, and she may have been surprised that she's been called in for a re-interview. It's normal to worry about making sure you're giving an accurate statement and this sort of thing, but I think this is something else. I think she's telling the truth about not wanting to say anything wrong, in the sense that she doesn't want to say anything wrong that's going to get her in trouble.
I want you to sit back in your chair, okay? Just sit back in your chair. Take a deep breath, okay? Close your eyes. Just follow my line. Just sit back in the chair for a second. Sit back. Relax the best you can. Close your eyes. And just breathe for a minute, okay? We're not in any type of danger. We're nowhere. We're in a very safe place, okay? And we're going to work through this. And don't worry about what you forget or what you mix up or whatever you're doing. Is you start and push the play button for that day. And if you stick to everything that you remember happening that day, it will come out in sequence. Okay? And I'm going to show you a technique after we go through this that will show it to you. Okay? So let's just start. You've taken a deep breath. You've relaxed. You're in a good position right there. Let's start from the beginning of the day, when you wake up, and let's start moving forward from there.
What I can remember is when I woke up, I had some breakfast, and I went upstairs to do some piano history, and I was on the computer.
What time is that around?
I'm not 100% sure.
Time isn't like, is it, time is important, meaning is it in the beginning of is it morning? Is the light out? Or is it in the afternoon? Like what?
Probably maybe before noon.
Before noon, sometime before noon.
Yes,
Okay.
before noon. I play some Facebook games, so I was doing that, and then I stopped, and then I was doing some studying for my piano. Like I said, I was working towards a piano degree in teaching. So I was reading some history notes and going over some practice examination papers.
Who's in the house at that time?
My father has left for work and my mother's home.
Okay. Where's your mom? Do you know where she is?
Don't remember at this point.
Okay.
I'm getting the last few days all mixed up together. I believe she had left with my aunt to go and visit my grandfather that morning,
Okay.
or early afternoon. He is residing. Sorry. He resided at Manchurung Nursing Home, and he had just gotten back from the hospital Saturday.
Okay.
So she went in. I don't remember if she took my aunt, but she went in to see if she could see how the nurse got any updates on him and see if she could feed him. When she had left, she had called me and she asked me to come out because there were some police officers on the street. Our side was secure in that it might be from another area. So from there, I went back into the house.
Do you remember
and
what time that was?
Again, it was before noon.
Before noon. Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was before noon.
So before noon, and now your mom's come back from
No, not yet.
Not-
She's on it. She was about
leaving to go out.
yes.
Okay.
So she left to go pick up my aunt and go in to my grandfather's, and I went back up on the computer to do a little studying, taking a break, and playing some games. But after that,
Do you remember speaking to anyone during the day on your phone or on Facebook?
Later on in the day, yes, I spoke to a longtime friend, Andrew, who I went to elementary school with. But just the usual, he just asked if we could hang out anytime soon, but I explained to him that I wasn't able to leave the house and I couldn't meet up with him. So I asked him how his life was, how his girlfriend, how his job was going. I believe that was later on in the day, though. That wasn't in the afternoon.
We'll go in later when we talk about your past, about why you couldn't leave the house. Okay, so that hasn't gone unnoticed, but we're not going to talk about that right now. We're talking about that day.
Okay.
So continue on.
I think my mom came home at about 3 or so. I'm not sure where she went with my aunt. She came home and unpacked and started preparing dinner. My father came home. My father came home about 4:20, 4:30. It was later than he usually does. He normally comes home about 10 to 4. When my mother asked him where he had been, he had said he had forgotten to lock his toolbox at work, or something along the lines of he had to go back to work because he had forgotten to close something or lock something up.
Where does your dad work?
Kobe and Stell. It's Middlefield and south of Finch.
Okay. continue. So he's home now late at 4:20, 4:30.
4:30, and he phoned and asked my Uncle Nam if he wanted to go buy some like heat covers and a USB pen. Yeah, and then she leaves at 7, and my father goes up to his computer like he normally does,
Yes.
and he's on the computer watching like news. I'm not sure what he's doing. I'm in my room. I believe at this point I had called my friend.
Hang on. Let's make sure. I got to make sure that the tape recorders didn't just click off, okay? Because we had a bit of a power flicker. So just give me a second. Okay, so we're at 7 o'clock, right? And your mom's getting ready to go. So continue on.
So she leaves, and my friend Adrian had asked if we would do our movie night like we normally do. He comes over with TV shows, some of our favorites to watch together. So he had come over. I'm sorry, the timeline's a little off.
Yeah.
He had come over around, I think I told him, I messaged him around 6 o'clock. He came over about 6:20, 6:30.
And when you say message him, was it Facebook or was it your
Text
phone?
messaging.
Text message?
Yeah.
And what was the phone? Which phone is it that you use? Which phone number?
My Rogers phone.
Your Rogers phone? And
Yeah.
647?
965-2118.
Okay, so that's the message. And is that the first communication you had with him that day?
I think I had messaged him at 3 o'clock. No, he had messaged me around in the afternoon sometime asking me if it was TV was on tonight.
Okay.
And then I had messaged him, I'm done, you can come over whenever. I think that was the gist of the message.
So what time does he arrive again?
He arrived around between 6 and 6:30.
So your mom and dad are both home?
My parents are home, and he came in. He greets them as usual. They ask him how everything was going, and then my mom had left for dancing, and we were downstairs watching. That day we watched Gossip Girl and How I Met Your Mother.
Are these live TV shows or are these recordings?
He brings them on a USB pen.
Okay. When your mom leaves, what is she wearing?
I didn't pay attention.
Do you remember what she was wearing when you were having dinner?
She was wearing her pajamas when we were having dinner.
What do they look like?
They're like green with like Winnie the Pooh.
Okay. So when you say when she leaves to go out, would she have changed?
Yes, because I was, like I said, my friend came around like 6:30, so we were already downstairs watching movies, but when she went up to change quickly and go to her dance class at 7.
Okay, and what car does she take when she leaves?
She takes the Lexus.
Is that the only car she drives?
Pretty much, my father drives his Mercedes, and my mother drives the Lexus.
Do they have, like, parents have different kinds of routines? Do they have a routine where they park the car? In the garage? Out of the garage? Or
Normally
which side?
inside, but if we plan to go out again, we park our car outside, but only the Lexus. So my mother, when she came home from, like I said, going out with my aunt, she had parked the car outside.
Okay,
So when my friend came, he parked it beside her.
okay.
Closer to the door.
And where do they usually, in the garage, do they just take out either side?
No,
or do
no,
they?
no. The Lexus is normally on when facing the house.
When
It's,
looking at the house,
left side,
left side is the Lexus.
and the Mercedes is on the right, closer to the door. Front
Okay.
door.
No other cars in the house?
No,
Or
just the
that
two
belong to
cars.
just those two? Okay, so your mom's goes. Did you see her change her clothes?
Unfortunately, I was watching. I was just watching my TV shows.
And where
with
were
my
you
friend.
watching?
In the basement.
In the basement?
Yeah.
So when you say that she's wearing her pajamas and she goes upstairs and change, is that something you know or you're speculating?
No, for sure she has to change into regular clothes to go and
Okay.
to go dancing.
Okay.
That's something that I didn't see it, but I know for sure that that's what she does.
Okay. So your mom goes, and where's your dad at this point?
He is, well, like I said, around 6:30 he was just finishing up dinner, and after he finished dinner he goes upstairs and goes on the computer.
So let's talk about the layout of the house before we move on any further here. You're in the basement,
Yes.
okay? And it's just the two of you, you and Adrian.
Yes.
The main level, the ground level. What's
Okay.
on the ground level?
What we call our living dining room with my piano.
Yes?
And then behind that is my family room.
Okay.
And then beside the family room is our kitchen.
So are they in separate locations, living room, dining room, or is it dining room, dining room?
By more than a half, there's a wall, but there is a way to walk from dining room, living room are combined, sorry.
Okay.
But to go to the family room, there's like a wall. But there is like not a doorway, but like an
archway?
opening
Yes.
to go
Okay.
through to the family.
And the kitchen is where?
Um,
In the front, back, side,
the back of the house.
the back of the house?
Yes.
Okay. You go up the stairs. What's on the stairs? What's upstairs? How many bedrooms are up there?
4 bedrooms, but one we use as a study.
And where's the study located?
That's the front of the house beside my parents' bedroom.
Okay. And where's your bedroom located?
The back of the house.
And is there another bedroom back there too?
There's one more bedroom back there, and that's used for my brother or my cousin, depending on who comes home.
Okay. And your cousin, who's
His name is Curtis, and he goes to school in Waterloo.
okay?
During the last co-op season, he co-oped in Toronto, so he stayed with us for 4 months.
Curtis's last name?
Leon.
Leon?
Leon.
Okay. We'll get to Curtis after. So now we're back. Your dad is upstairs. Did you see him go to the computer room?
Like I said, I
You're
was
speculating.
Yes.
That's what his normal routine is?
That's his normal routine.
You're in the basement.
Yes.
Did you hear your mom leave?
Yes.
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 Okay. And how do your parents leave when they're taking their cars? Now, this time you say the car was out in the driveway. Did you
Mhm.
hear when you say you heard your mom leave? Where did she go out?
Because how the house is laid out, the stairwell is in the middle of the house, so she would have to walk. She would have to walk across the stairs to go to the front door. So I heard her pass through
Okay.
and leave through the front door.
If you park your cars in your garage, how do you get? Do your parents come close the door and come out and into the house, or do they?
No,
come-
if they park in the garage, they come through. There's an entrance from the garage to the house, inside the garage.
How many ways are there to get into your house other than breaking a window? Like how many?
Doorways,
Doorway.
3.
So there's
Well,
where?
there's a door from the garage,
Yes,
the front doorway, and the backyard.
in the backyard. Okay, so it's now 7 o'clock or beyond. Your mom's gone. Your dad's, you believe, upstairs in the computer room, in the office, and you're downstairs with Adrian watching either the How I Met Your Mother or
Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girls.
Well, a few episodes.
Do you talk to anyone or text message anyone throughout the time that you're with Adrian?
No.
Does Adrian talk or text message anyone throughout the
No,
time?
his phone wasn't. I believe his phone was aside.
Okay. And then what happens?
9 o'clock comes, and he says after that final episode we watch, he's like, it's time for me to go home. So I see him out, and I went upstairs and got ready for bed.
Okay.
Does that mean she changed into sleepwear? Does she normally wear pajamas? Does she normally sleep in yoga pants? What was she wearing that day during the day? I know this sounds like a weird question, but at the time of the crime, she was wearing yoga pants. So this is actually relevant and important, including whether or not sleeping in yoga pants was routine. If she was wearing those yoga pants all day, it does change things.
And did you see your dad or hear your dad when you went upstairs?
When I went upstairs, he was in his computer room like he normally is, and on the computer at that point in time.
Okay. And your mom's not home?
No, her dancing doesn't finish till about 9, so she doesn't get home till closer to 9:30.
Okay. So you're in your bedroom, and what are you doing?
At this point, I was on the phone with my friend Andrew,
Okay.
and just talking to him, and then and watching TV, and then I don't remember how long the conversation was, but then I ended up calling my friend Edward.
So Andrew is...
An old high school friend.
Okay, and is he the one that was you had talked to? This is the person you said you were talking to. Who was asking about meeting up with you.
Yes.
So you were actually talking on the phone with him now.
Yes.
Did you were talking on Facebook with him earlier?
No, I was text messaging him.
Text
earlier.
messaging him. Were you talking to anyone on Facebook at the same time? Because I know
I
you guys can
believe-
multitask.
No, I believe my Facebook, there's a chat window and I keep that as offline unless I intend to speak to one of my friends regarding one of the games I play.
So when you're talking to Andrew, you're not talking to anyone else.
No.
When you're talking to Edward, you're not talking to anyone else.
I don't have a computer in my room.
Okay, so that answers the question, is that there's no computer in the room.
No.
How many computers are in the house?
There's one computer. I'm not sure about towers because my brother recently took one to school with him. But I know there's one fully working computer and my mother has a laptop.
Do you use either?
Like I said, I was on the main computer earlier
Yes.
and the laptop I use occasionally but not too often.
Did you use it that day?
I don't remember, to be honest, but I don't believe I did.
And what services do you use when you're using the laptop or the other? What you say you're on Facebook? Is there any
Yes.
other chat lines or any other?
Sometimes I have an MSN open, but rarely. I don't like to be on MSN too much.
Okay. So now we're at 9:00, and you're into the conversation. You've finished your conversation with Andrew, and now you're speaking to Edward. What time is it, do you think?
9:15, 9:30.
When you're talking to Edward, have you heard your mom come in yet?
I heard my mom come in, so I asked him to hold.
Okay.
He had hung up. So when I went down, I was like, "Hi, Mom." And then I saw her. She had changed into her pajamas. And she was downstairs watching TV. like she
Again,
normally
so
when you
let's
down.
stop it right there. Just hold it in check. Is that when she came in, did you see her?
I didn't see her come in.
Okay, no, when you heard her come in,
Mhm.
and you say she changed into her pajamas.
She went up the stairs.
You heard her come up the
I
stairs?
heard my mom come up the stairs and go
Okay.
into her bedroom.
Okay,
And then when I went down, she went back down the stairs, and that's when I went out. And I went down the stairs, and that's when I noticed she was in her pajamas and just watching TV.
okay. Did you see your dad?
He had gone back to his bedroom to call it a night. His door was closed, but he wasn't on the computer.
You could see in the computer room that he
He
wasn't
was not there.
So this is after your mom arrives home, you've heard her come up the stairs, go in the room, you're suspecting she's changed because by the time you follow her down the stairs, she's
I
in her
didn't
pajamas.
follow her. She went down,
Yeah.
and then I went after.
Sure. You went down to talk to your mom.
Just to make sure she was...
Does she always do this? Just wondering. The assumption is that she goes downstairs to say hi or to make sure Mom was fine. But that's not what Jennifer actually said. Jennifer never finished that sentence. Maybe I'm too cynical.
Okay.
Mhm.
What
Like
kind
normal.
what kind of pajamas is she wearing at this time?
Green Winnie the Pooh. She changed back into her green Winnie the Pooh pajamas.
Okay. When you come downstairs, are you noticing, is there any problems, any issues, anything out of the norm when you go down? Because you said you went down to check on her and see how she was.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that's strange? Is there anything different?
Not that I know. She was just on the couch like she normally is, watching television, winding down.
Okay. And that's now, you're saying 9:15 to 9:30 she gets home. That's after that, obviously.
Just a little bit after that, yeah.
Okay, and then what happens?
I go back up my stairs and I call Ed again.
Okay,
And I had to use the washroom, so I did put him on mute for a quick second. And then I came back and I was just watching TV and talking with Ed.
okay. How long are you now upstairs on the phone with Edward?
I'm sorry, but that time frame, I'm not sure.
Okay. Your cell phone records are going to give us the exact times.
Okay.
Okay, so have you talked to anyone else? Is it you hang up with Edward, go down and see your mom,
Mm-hmm.
come back upstairs,
Yes.
call Edward,
Yes.
use the washroom,
Mm-hmm.
on the phone with Edward still?
Yes.
Have you talked to anyone else?
No.
Okay. Have you text messaged anyone else?
No.
How many?
I don't believe I did, no.
Do you have more than one phone?
I had one, but I just keep the SIM card.
Yes.
Again, we will go into the history,
Sure.
but my cell phone gets taken away from me sometimes.
Okay.
And so I had a friend of mine, Daniel, he got a SIM card for me to use sometimes. But I take the SIM card out when I finish it, and I normally keep it in my pocket so my parents wouldn't find it.
Yes.
But I don't remember the last time I used it.
Okay. But you didn't use that SIM card that day?
No.
Okay.
I did not know.
You did not?
When the police were asking her earlier for her phone, she didn't reveal this. Listen to the way she says, I did not know, with the emphasis on I. And watch her gesture as she says it. Here's a replay.
I did not know.
You did not?
You tell me, what do you think?
I don't remember the last time. Maybe it was a few days before that. It was the last time I remember using it was when my grandfather was in the hospital. And I had messaged him, and he asked me how my grandfather was.
And when is that time frame that your grandfather went into the hospital?
He was in the hospital for about 10 days.
10 days. Okay. So that's the last time you remember using that SIM card associated to, from what your friend had given you,
Yes.
was about 10 days earlier or even 12 days earlier, because I believe you said your grandfather had come out of the hospital, or was he still in the hospital?
Yes. No, he was in the hospital for 10 days.
Yes.
On Saturday, he had gone back to his nursing home. And this is Monday we're talking
So
about.
it's about 12 to 14 days earlier that this happened, that you used the SIM card, you're guessing.
Probably more within a week. Yeah.
Within a week?
Yeah. Because I messaged him
Give or take 7 days, is that what you were saying?
Yeah. Because I would message him when my grandfather was in the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where's that SIM card now?
I'm not sure. I don't remember. I had it in my jacket pocket, but I don't remember where it is now.
Okay. So, we're now back to, you're on the phone with Edward. And
Yes.
again, the history stuff, you're right. I don't want it to get convoluted in here, but we need to, we'll talk about that stuff after. So we're back on track here. It's now, you're back on the phone. You've come from the washroom, taken the mute button off, and you're now on the phone with Edward.
Mm-hmm.
Where's your mom? Have you heard your mom come up the stairs? Is she still downstairs?
She's still downstairs.
She's still downstairs. Okay. Continue on.
I had my TV on because I was watching TV.
Yes.
I don't remember what show I was watching. I believe it was Amazing Race. I'm not 100% sure at this moment. But I was watching TV, and on the phone was Ed as well.
Okay.
And then the next thing I remember is my mother calling down for my father.
What is she saying?
She's calling him by his name and to come down.
Okay, so give us verbatim. What do you hear her saying? Is it in the Vietnamese Chinese, or is it in English?
It's in Vietnamese.
Okay, and what do you hear her say?
In Vietnamese, she's like, Han ơi, xuống đây.
And what does that translate to?
That's my father's name, Han. Come down here.
Does she say anything else associated with that?
I can't hear clearly because, I was on the phone and the TV was on,
Sure.
but that's what I heard.
Is she yelling? Or is it normal?
It's a loud, she's not yelling, but it's a loud tone.
Okay.
And normally that tone means that I need to go down and see what's happening, usually. So that's when I told Edward, I was like, okay, I gotta go, I'll call you later. And I hang up the phone with him.
Have you heard anything else at this point in time?
As I'm hanging up the phone with him, I hear footsteps going up the stairs.
This is new. Remember, she gave zero description of this previously, but she has had time to think about her story. Also, if she can hear footsteps coming up the stairs, why did she not hear 3 home invaders entering the house?
Okay.
But they're heavier footsteps than what is to be expected from my parents.
Okay.
And then I hear mumbling, and someone's in the master bedroom, and I hear the bed being tossed, and I just froze where I was.
She's just said that Dad had gone to bed. She did say that Mom called for Dad to come downstairs, but she never said that he went downstairs. If Jennifer didn't have time to even get out of her room, and the footsteps coming up the stairs were happening as she hung up the phone, then how did Dad have time to go downstairs? And now the bad guys are in the bedroom where Dad must be, and there's no sound from him? And this is another variation on the story of the master bedroom being tossed. And why mumbling? At this point, the residents in the home know that the home invaders are there, so there's no need to mumble or be quiet. There is, however, a need for them to be scary, perhaps even yell, in order to gain compliance from the occupants. The police know how home invasions go. The detective is going to know this story is rubbish. I think Dad didn't have a chance to go downstairs. Remember before she said she thought she heard them go back downstairs? So this is another thing that makes me think he never made it down the stairs. I think she listened at the door, and I think she heard the confrontation, whatever it was, between Dad and the intruders.
I have to say, I don't know how long they were in there, but I heard somebody go down the stairs. So at this point, I opened my door. I peered out, and there was a person in what would have been my brother's room.
And where's your brother's room located?
Just a little bit down I could see from my doorway to his doorway, just
Okay.
a little bit down the hall.
Okay.
And he looks at me and he pulls out his gun.
This is a completely different story. And watch her face. She looks at the detective directly. Popular belief is that looking directly at someone is a sign of telling the truth, but that's not true. And liars also think that. And so often they're making sure that they're looking at you. And there are a couple of things that can happen. Sometimes they look at you and it's almost like a stare. And other times they're looking at you to assess whether or not you believe them and whether or not maybe they need to change parts of their story. And I think that's what she's doing here. She's looking at him, assessing to see if he believes her.
And he walks towards me and sits me down on my bed, because my bed is within a step from my door. And he's like, "Where's the money? Do you have any money? Give me your money." So I had some money that I had saved up from serving, and I was also planning on buying a new cell phone because my contract was finishing with Rogers. And the phone I'm currently using has not good reception, so I had about $2,000 saved up.
He sits me down on my bed. How? He has a gun in his hand. Does he order her to sit? Does he physically push her, guide her? And this story's different anyway than the other ones. He says, "Where's the money?" But also, "Do you have any money?" That's not how these things go. They don't ask, "Do you have any money?" And in her story here, there's an injection of explanation. Most victims of robbery or home invasion don't first explain why they had money. That she's explaining this matters. It may simply be a way to buy time, but since it keeps coming up in the same place in the story, I think there's more to it. And note what's missing. The string in his hands and the gloves in his hands. And him tying her up right away. Any other sounds?
And so I opened my drawer and I pointed at it. And he picked it up and took the cash and put it in his pocket. At this point, he ties my hands behind my back. And he walks me out.
Okay, so stop right there for a second. Okay, I want you, now that you've got him right there, I want you to describe him to me.
What pocket? Front pants? Jacket? Back pants? This would give a clue as to what he's wearing. At this point, he ties my hands. present tense. I really think that when she uses the language at this point, and this is specific to her, not universal, I think she's saying at this point in the story. She doesn't say how he ties her hands. Does he grab her? Order her to do something? And where's the gun while he's tying her hands? Also, this is different from her previous stories. In the next section, watch her hands. She has been wringing her hands a lot. But when the detective is making her respond to his questions, instead of allowing her just to give what she wants to say, that hand wringing speeds up and her breathing changes.
What you can remember, every little detail.
He was black with dreadlocks.
How long are the dreadlocks?
They about
Show me on your own body where you would see them.
about shoulder length,
Okay.
but they were long enough that they were able to move. He's a medium build, and he is slight. When I was standing, I was almost eye level with him.
And you're how
When
tall?
he came up to me, I'm about 5'7".
Okay. Clothing.
All I could remember is dark clothing.
Now you've got a gun pointed at you.
Yes,
Describe
and then
the
he
gun.
told. Okay, the gun was black with almost not a triangle, but it kind of tapered a little on the handle. And I would describe it as like what I see on TV for like police officers, kind of like a handgun sort of thing. And the whole time he kept telling me to look down. Because my bedroom was dark, but the hallway was lit. So he kept telling me to look down, look down.
She skimmed past that description of the gun, eh? She wants to hurry up and get this story out. And how does she see the handle if it's in his grip and the room was dark? I find it interesting that the part she describes is the handle. It's common for victims to fail to see other things at a scene because they're so focused on that gun. They will describe the gun, but it's usually not the grip on the handle that they're describing, unless the guy is waving it around. She says it's like the ones you see on TV. And notice how she stopped giving the description of the bad guy and went back into her narrative. She injects explanatory information here that doesn't actually fit. She says her lights were off to explain her crappy description, but somehow he can see the money in the drawer. And she fails to say he was wearing a bandana over his face. That bandana figured prominently in the other stories that she told previously, and this was only a couple of days before. She says he kept saying to keep her head down. Previously, when she'd been questioned about how she saw the gun in number 3's hand, that's where she brought up this business of, well, they were telling her to keep her head down and then she looked up. Now that part is here earlier in the story. So she's modifying the story to make it satisfactory to the police as she moves along.
At this point,
Any accent?
not from this particular person.
Does he sound like he was born and raised in Canada?
I would say that he was born in Canada, but it's like there was no sign of an accent in his.
And that's not what I mean culturally. I'm talking about the language. You know, you can tell someone who's spent a long time as a young age from starting, because there is no, it's normal speech. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see anything on his hands?
He's wearing gloves.
What type of gloves?
Black leather gloves.
Although she is definitive here, remember this came out during the last interview, and it had been an afterthought then. It's an afterthought here as well. The detective just asked her seconds ago what he was wearing. If he had been wearing gloves, would that not be significant? Yet she doesn't mention it until he asks this question. And how does she know they wear black leather when it's dark?
Okay. Now, facial experience, before he tells you to look down, do you see anything? Has he got a wide nose? Has he got any pock marks, any acne, any facial hair?
The only thing I can really make out is just the general shape of his face.
Which is?
Because the only thing the thing that caught my attention was
Which was?
the gun.
Okay. What about his facial? What about what he looks like? Tell me about that. You said about the size or the shape of his face.
It's not round, but it's not a narrow face. He didn't have, like, his cheeks were protruding, but they're not like the normal people. It's almost like a roundish, squarish face.
Mm-hmm.
His cheeks, he had cheeks. It wasn't like there were, like what they call the defined the cheekbones.
Yes.
Like it was almost like round.
A full, like there was some meat there, right?
Like I wouldn't say fat. Like it wasn't like a
Yeah.
protruding, but there was no like definition.
Okay.
Again, what happened to the bandana covering his face?
And now this guy's age, and I know it's very difficult to define, but people age differently and they have different appearances. Where would you put this guy?
Very late 20s to early 30s. So, if I had to put numbers, I'd say somewhere between 28 to about 33.
If you saw a picture of this guy in a composite, like on a profile, do you think you could identify him?
I wouldn't be 100% certain.
Okay, so
If everyone had dreadlocks and the face was very familiar, I didn't get a very, very clear look at his face because, I'm sorry, but the only thing I could really see was that he had pointed that at me. And
okay. Now, I think another possibility is just based on you, if we sat you in front of a composite drawer, it sounds like you could give them some raw information that might be able to help in that area, okay? So if you can't do that ID, that one's still available, okay? So now, he's taken your money. Where exactly was your money located?
My TV's on a bedside table, and I keep it in a little book, almost a day planner, but I don't use it for day planning.
Okay.
It was a gift from friends.
And what are you wearing right now?
I'm wearing what I was prepared to go to bed. I'm wearing my black pants and an old figure skating sweater that I had gotten.
Describe the sweater to me. Like, what is it? Does it have pockets? Does it have a hood? Is it just a sweater?
No, it's just a slip-on sweater, no hood, no pockets.
Whoops. The money was inside a book? How did she point to it for the bad guy? Smart question about what she was wearing. In addition to the reasons I mentioned earlier, he's also specifically asking about pockets and a hood. Some place where she might be able to hide and keep a cell phone for later.
Okay, so when you get off the phone with Edward and you're saying, where does this phone go?
I stick it right here on the back side of my pants.
Back side of your pants?
Yes.
So in the waistband?
Yes.
Okay. You open the door, you see this figure, he's come in, he's taken the money. And the nightstand is on what side of your bed? If you're
It's at
looking
the
at the,
end-
if you're
it's at-
looking at the front of your bed this way, where is the nightstand? Night table?
It's in front of my bed.
Okay, so
It's right beside the door.
yes.
The nightstand, the TV, and my bed is long towards the TV to watch.
Did you take anything else from your room?
Not when I was there, no.
Not when you were there?
No.
Okay. Did he toss your room
I don't
while you were there?
know.
Okay. So he takes you. You're let outside, out of the hallway now, and what happens?
And
Are the lights in the hallway still on?
yes, but he's telling me to look down.
Okay.
And at this point now he's behind me. He had grabbed me at the shirt and he had pulled me in front of him and was pushing me towards the stairs.
Okay. What does he say?
He keeps yelling, hurry up, hurry up. Do what we're saying and no one will get hurt.
Okay.
And then he takes me down the stairs. And the lights on the main floor were all turned off.
Nice silence by the detective there. Good question about the lights in the hall and about the fact that her room was not tossed. That gives detectives more questions to ask. Why was her room not tossed? Was the brother's room tossed? Other rooms? The basement? According to her, they were not happy that they didn't get enough money. So why wouldn't they toss everything, including her room? And now he's yelling? Why now? They didn't yell at mom and dad? Hurry up is a common thing that offenders say during a robbery. Often that's more about the offender's nerves than it is about actual worry about time. But because this is repeated, it indicates a concern about time, if what she's saying is true. And if they're concerned about time at this early stage, because this is different from what she said before, why then take all the time to do all the weird things that they did? In her previous story, she said they took her from her room to her parents' room and tossed it in front of her. Now they're taking her to the stairs.
We take... My stairs are a little curved, and we just went... He made me, pushed me down by my shoulders and told me to sit on the floor.
Do you feel the gun? Is he using his hand?
He's using his hand to lead me down the stairs and force me to sit down. Only one hand.
Okay.
What happened to kneel and face down?
You see the gun again?
At this point, I'm looking down and he's behind me, so
Okay.
I don't see his gun. But I can see there's two other shadows, and I can see from where I was standing, my father was sitting on the right, and my mother was sitting on the left,
Sitting where?
on a couch, on our couch.
Sitting on the couch. Are they looking out towards you?
No, their backs are towards me.
Okay. And you're now on the ground level? Are you on the floor? Or on the
I'm
sitting on the
on the
stairs?
floor. I'm sitting on the floor.
All right, where are your hands?
They had tied my hands,
So let's
as
go.
I said.
Let's go back up to the stairs. Remember, we said take the other statement and whatever we've said before.
No, I said it earlier.
Okay, then we must let's get back to that area. I think you might have touched on it. We went back into the description. So where do you get your hands tied, and where does the string come from?
I'm not sure where the string comes from, but he had the string.
Okay.
And after I gave him my money, that's when he tied my hands.
And how did that happen? Where were you, in the room, in the hallway? Where did
He
that
told me to sit down on the edge of my bed,
happen? Yes.
and that's when I opened. Told me show me, and I pulled open my drawer, my dresser, and he saw the money and he picked it up, my book, and then he opened up the book and grabbed the cash, put it in his pocket.
Okay.
Oh, I guess he had X-ray vision. I mean, he could see through the book to know that there was money there.
At this point, he still has the gun pointing towards me. And he...
Oops. She just finished saying she couldn't see because he was behind her. I'm going to leave it here for the sake of time. In the next part, you watch things unravel further as the detective pulls at little threads. Stay safe. See you in the comments.